Having a child is supposed to be, the best day of your life, and I am so grateful for my son, but it was not the best days of my life. I have never felt so lonely and scared, and I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't really have supports. So by the time my son was 4 months old, I was alone. I was fighting with his dad a lot, and I separated from him. And I called Children's Aid because I felt suicidal. And I asked them to take my son because I didn't want him to be alone if I died. A lot of my struggles were my insecurities and asking for help. I'm not worth it. And I think that's why I struggled. I didn't really know if there would be help out there for me.
When the baby was about a month old, I started realizing I was crying all the time, and that was not normal. I was noticing other signs, and I used to have depression when I was 14, so it was kind of like, I knew I was gonna have it. I was hoping I wouldn't though. My mom was one of the people that actually understood because she had me really young too. So she remembers what it's like, and she also faced postpartum depression for a while. So when I realized and I talked to her too, she kind of helped me explain to my family what was wrong. I was really embarrassed about the fact that I ended up getting postpartum depression. I didn't want to admit it, and but at the same time I knew I had to because I knew it could get a lot worse.
I've always wanted to be a mom. I just always had that maternal instinct and always kind of knew that that was something that I wanted. I think I had really high expectations of having this instant connection and having the skin to skin and having that kind of glorious moment with your child that you just gave birth to, and that was not there for me. So I think that my expectations of what the birth experience was supposed to be, that's kind of when it just started because that wasn't there. And then from that point on, just the loss of connection was the biggest thing initially. And I didn't feel really anything for no instant big love or big exuberant joy, right? It was just a little man in my life now. And that was hard. I felt a lot of guilt around that, so.
I believe it was the second night we were home, if I'm not mistaken, and Josie just kind of broke down and couldn't stop crying and just said, I'm so tired. And I couldn't just understand why, well, if you're tired, go to sleep and then get some rest. But it wasn't that simple. So we ended up going to Emerge because she couldn't get things under control, and then there starts to become that fear of, could she harm herself or her child? And I hate to even say that, but you worry. I remember thinking I was downstairs with our new baby, who would be a week old, and all I could think of was, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't take care of this child on my own, and right now my wife doesn't have the ability or the mindset to be able to do anything. She couldn't even get out of bed. And I thought, a day is one thing, but if this lasts for an extended period, I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. As much as this is our second child, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it scared me. Even looking back, I don't know it's not like I think, oh, I should have talked to that person. I don't know who I should have talked to, even now.
I have a 10-year-old. I also have a soon-to-be 2-year-old. And I'm due in about 6 weeks with my third child. So with this one, I feel more supported, but I also still feel the stress of from the previous pregnancy that, am I gonna have the same reactions? Am I gonna have the same thoughts, or is it gonna be worse, or will I be more prepared? And even with right now, I've never told any professional that, yeah, I did have all those thoughts of, throwing my baby across the room because she wouldn't stop crying. And, as an Anishinaabe Koya, we're life givers. We take care of life, and for me, it felt really guilty to have those thoughts.
It's well documented that there's a significant impact of this mental illness on our society. This illness is very treatable. Families can recover very quickly. We also know that this illness can be prolonged without an intervention. If we could treat in the mild form, it doesn't escalate into a crisis. In our interviews with all of our parents, most of them didn't know where to go. Most of them were ashamed that they were going through this. Some of them didn't know what they were going through. Our parents are doing the best that they can. Our communities are doing the best that we can. But what we need to do is offer a service that helps parents who are suffering from this mental illness attach with their infants and making sure that their infants are healthy. We recognize that the services are sporadic, and we recognize that the services are not coordinated, and we felt that the only way to rectify that would be to pull the steering committees together and represent each community. Each steering committee, each community would have a voice. We chose that model because we knew that we would get better research, better information about what Northern Ontario needs. Our steering committees have come up with the idea that we need a menu of services because not all treatments fit all families. And some families need a little bit of intervention, some families need a lot of intervention. And the families know best what they need.
The community collaboration that has happened within this project has been incredible. Together, we have had over 24 different communities involved. This has included rural, urban, and First Nations Northern Ontario communities. The Northern Ontario Postpartum Mood Disorder Strategy presents 3 recommendations. These recommendations are all independent of one another and can be implemented in any order. The first recommendation is to make PPMD a priority. If we all make PPMD a priority in our work and our communities, it's possible to reduce the social, human, and economic impacts of this illness. The second recommendation is to create PPMD-informed communities. PPMD-informed communities require ongoing professional development and community education. The third recommendation is the resourcing of our Northern Ontario communities to provide culturally safe, PPMD-informed service provision and a menu of culturally safe PPMD services. Vital to this third recommendation is the consideration of infant-child development in all future services and that these services be available to the whole family. By sharing these recommendations, the intention of the Northern Ontario steering committees is to provide a framework for individuals, for agencies, for professional organizations, and for all levels of government. This is a hopeful project. We're building on strengths. The research is clear. There are best and promising practices that can help families suffering from postpartum mood changes. Let's make this a priority. Let's inform our communities. Let's provide the services that families need.
So this strategy provides a springboard of innovation and change across Northern Ontario. It also has the transferability to all healthcare providers across all of Ontario. Because the prevalence of this mental illness is so staggering, without further resourcing, we run the risk of overly stressing the current system.
As CEO of the Northeast LHIN, let me tell you why we are supporting this postpartum mood disorder strategy. My job, and the job of the people working here at the Northeast LHIN, is to think about healthcare as a system, from hospitals to home care. We spend a lot of time talking with Northerners. We've heard that the care people get is great, but it's often hard to find. We've heard the system is fragmented, siloed, and focused on providers, not people. We've heard that people need better access to mental health services. We know we need to do better by our First Nations and Francophones to make sure the care they get is culturally and linguistically appropriate. As a LHIN, we are working to break down barriers, bring providers together, coordinate better access, and strengthen home and community care. It's about meeting the needs of people, of parents and families, no matter where they live in this great part of Ontario. The Community Counselling Centre of Nipissing has worked together with partners to put together a strategy that supports mums and dads who need help dealing with postpartum mood disorder. As a mother of 3, I know how difficult that first year can be as a parent. The numbers speak for themselves. 1 in 5 moms and 1 in 10 dads. That's almost 3,000 families here in the Northeast LHIN that are affected by postpartum mood disorder. This strategy is important. It will become an unseen lifeline, pulling many new parents towards the care they need. That's why the Northeast LHIN is supporting this important strategy.